Hey friends, this is the Johnster Monster with episode 3 of Shadow and Flame of Magic. And today, in remembrance of Carlos Pachelo, we are going to review issue 95 of Excalibur. So if you'll stick with me, let's enjoy the comic. Brr, 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 brr. These are the days of future past. These are the days of future past. Rachel sends Kate Pride back in time to prevent the future. The days of future past. So issue 95 came out in the March of 1996. The side comic ad is for Black Sheep with Chris Farley and David Spade. So 1996 is a while ago. And this cover proclaims that X-Man is joining or guest starring in Excalibur. And it also says, "We hope you survived the experience," which is a very famous X-Men line. And X-Man, we used to see his hand as we see Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Kitty approaching him. Everyone's powers are at the ready, which I guess is mostly just saying Nightcrawler's bamfing and X-Man's hands are electric. In reviewing this, as this is Pacheco's first official beginning of his run on the title. He did a guest spot on issue 90 with various other artists, and now in 95 he's getting his chance to lead the book. And we're getting, I believe it's Mariah McTaggart's description of the title to try to get everyone caught up, most likely to get X-Men fans caught up with what Excalibur's doing if they're following their boy Nate, who I don't really have much history with besides when he showed up in a Spider-Man comic once and, was pretty much self-contained to his own little title besides of various guest appearances. I remember when he was being haunted by Maddie Pryor's ghost. And that title was pretty nice after that guest appearance. I know it was around 225 or Amazing 425 where Spider-Man fights Electro and X-Men shows up to help with that. So we get the caption that these are the stories of the International X Group named for the mystic blade that legend says united a people, Excalibur. And then Moira is explaining who all the people are, or who the current teammates are. They're based on a Muir Island in Scotland, owned by Mariah McTaggart, led by the German teleporter Kurt Wagner, seen here with his lover, the musician Amanda Sefton, wearing her pretty cool yellow suit with black boots and gloves. Kitty Pryde, who grew up as an American X-Man, and Pete Wisdom, who recently grew out of being a British serviceman. And they're currently dating in the moment, which I sort of like this. And it sort of ages Kitty up from starting this title at 15 to maybe now being 19, maybe pushing 20. But I know at the time people were like, she's too young for him because he's probably like 30. But at this point, she's saved the world countless times over. Also on the title, Rain Sinclair, the young Scots werewoman. Peter Rasputin, the troubled Russian X-Man. The haunted Dr. Rory Campbell, who's, I guess now I'm thinking about it, is very related to Days of Future Past, but we haven't figured that part out yet. Doug Locke, the ghost of a dead boy cast in wires, which we'll find out much later. It's not Doug stuck in Warlock's body, but just Warlock processing some things. The physicist and retired superhero Brian Braddock, and the elemental Megan. And so previously, we get a whole page explaining X-Men Age of Apocalypse, because this is issue 95, and it's 9 issues after Excalibur 86, which was the issue of Excalibur before Age of Apocalypse kicked in. And it took over for 4 months, 5 months or so. And so X-Men's here. He's the Age of Apocalypse's version of of Cable. And he's just now, he escaped Age of Apocalypse with a select number of other people, and now he is here. And right before this issue would have been X-Men 12, where he confronted Xavier, and they had a quick fight. And now he's here to learn more about himself from Mariah McTaggart, and he learned from doing a courtesy... No, I'm sorry. He's learned that Mariah learned that he's designed to die before the age of 21. And he's probably like 19, I imagine. But he reads her mind saying that she's hoping he dies before the age of 21. So, he's young and brash and just taking things on like he shouldn't. As a young man does, thinking he's invincible, and then we're hearing that he's not. And at night, Kitty or Wisdom and Pride, their soon-to-be miniseries, I think it comes out after this, I believe. And they're just walking around. In the previous issue, Colossus had fought. Yeah, he's come to the island because I think he's just now coming out of a temporal insanity, as Kitty tries to explain to Wisdom. And he really beat into Wisdom quite a bit. And she's saying it was more like he was slapping him really hard instead of punching him to kill him. But I'm sure Wisdom's ribs don't feel like they were just slapped hard, but were punched deeply. And meanwhile, the island starts quaking, and we cut to Kurt and Peter, which I don't know why I try to pronounce it that way. And Colossus is bemoaning the fact that no one's liking him. And Kurt's trying to be a good friend, but also at the same time, maybe you don't just punch people in the face as soon as you see them. So Kurt's trying to be just a friend, but at the same time recognizing his friend's a complete idiot. And he's Colossus, so he is a complete idiot. And so besides Katie and Rain talking to him, Dr. Rory is talking to him, and Kurt's the same because they're going to be therapy for each other. And how Rory just lost half his leg, and so he's being set up for being Ahab of the Days of Future Past. But Rachel's no longer in the title, right? Because she left in 75 or so. Peter's not a big fan of Wisdom. And Kurt's like, well, he takes a while to get used to. And the team's just going through things. And then we get to the title page, which is called Amplified Heart. And it's a Stanley presentation. The writer is Warren Ellis. So we got to deal with that. Is pleased to announce that Chris Pachelo, pencil artist, and Bob Wycheck, ink artist, join him as Excalibur's creative team. And you might remember Bob Wycheck as being legendary Paul Smith's inker. So pretty great to have that Bob and Kitty are still on the team, or are working together. And it's also and Joe Rosas as colorist, Maribu Hughes color seps, Richard Starkings and Comic Craft for lettering, Suzanne Gaffney's the editor, and Bob Harris, our fearless leader, are still here too. So X-Men is tearing up the place. He is mad at Mariah, and she's all like, I'm going to die. Because you got to read her dialogue aloud. Colossus is coming. Kitty and Wisdom are together. They're still holding hands, which is super cute. As this time they're holding hands so she can phase him to the epicenter of the attack. Brian's woken up as he was just getting to sleep. It was an early night. Megan's here. with him, of course. And Nate's proudly screaming about how he just beat Xavier. Now he's ready to... So now he's thinking Xavier and Mariah are trying to kill him in revenge. And I guess this is supposed to be life number 4 for her. Or no, I guess life number 1. East Coast Comics has their full catalog of comics if you wanted to buy them. You could buy... No, they do it weirdly where I guess they price everything by price. But then it's by the issue numbers. So you can buy Days of Future Past for $22. And let's see here. Can I find 129 easily? It's not the best way to do it. Okay, it took old Dad way too long to realize that 129 is not on here. But 130 is on here for $16. So there's that. So you cannot buy 129 at this point through East Coast Comics. And so Mariah is still saying, I'm no dead. Yeah, oh, well then. Oh man, I have a horrible Scottish impression, so maybe I should not read it. But she's daring Nate to read his mind. Rory is losing his mind, trying to just chant to himself that Mutant's gone bad, don't go near him. Mutant's gone bad, don't go near him. Rain's inching her way there. I guess there's a character here called Spore, who I don't recognize, but he's looks like Beastman, but with less fur from He-Man. And, of course, Nate read Spore's mind, but... No, I'm sorry. He just took Spore at his word that Mariah and the Muir Island team are horrible people. And now he's reading his mind like, oh, you're the bad guy. What was I doing listening to you? And so everyone's trying to say, like, hey, if you want to verify Mariah's story, just read our minds now. But because the whole team's coming at him, he like Kurt comes at him. He decides to side blasting at Kitty, which somehow she's able to phase a side blast. And so it goes through her instinctively and hits Wisdom from behind. So he's having a bad day. He's like, not me bloody ribs again. Oof, my British accent's as bad as my Scottish accent. But Mariah finally just yells like, stop it. And I should give points to Kitty's costume right now is the traditional yellow with blue pants and sleeves, but with the power shoulder pads. That's pretty fun to see Pacheco's rendition of that. So Nate reads Mariah's mind. He sees that she's lost her son, who was a super Proteus, who was a young mutant who powers went out of control, and so, which now I think of it, Colossus killed him, and I wonder if that's awkward for Mariah every day to see Colossus just standing around like, oh yeah. And then he gets a memory of Xavier and her dating. There's a ad for, who is this? American Entertainment Comics? But it's cool they use Spider-Boy from the Amalgam Comics, which was the combination of Spider-Man and Spider-Boy. No, I'm sorry. Spider-Boy, combination of Spider-Man and Superboy, because they were both clones at the time. And so it's here. So now everyone's back to saying, like, just read our minds too. And Mariah's just like, Nate's young and no one's ever caught him on his attitude before. But so he needs to just take a moment and get all the information besides just blindly attacking. And so they finally talk. She's explaining more about her son. Spider-Man and Chef Barkey were working together. Do some web designs. So now Nate's just embarrassed. There's a full-page ad for X-Force, monthly from Xavier School of Hard Knocks. Which, is this during their road days, maybe? And so Dr. Rory's like, read my mind too. And Nate's finally like, oh, fine. I'm done. And so he finally does. He reads everyone's mind and is just like, all right, you guys are cool. And so he just leaves the island. So we were just treated to Nate Gray. And if you wanted to, you can pick up issue 13. But who would want to? Sword Strokes has some letters from a John Smith, a Doug Tennant, Bobby Johnson. Oh man, they got 3 pages of letters. How great. I have a letter in a Deadpool comic, I think issue 65. So that's pretty fun. All these people got their letters. Next issue, Nightcrawler and Megan get caught in a deadly mid-air dogfight while the villainous Montjoy hooks up with London's Hellfire Club, and Subobi Shaw turns to Brian Braddock for help. Be there or be sorry. And we get a fun Marvel bullpen. Where Uncanny X-Men's turning 330. Psylocke's life hangs in the balance as Wolverine, Archangel, and Doctor Strange descend into Mystic Underworld to receive a pint of the life-giving Crimson Dawn from the Ebon View's master, the Evil Tar, by Scott Lobdell and Joe Mad. Let's see here. X-Men 13. Could love be in the air for young Nate? Perhaps, but first he's going to have to survive an encounter of Sinister's clone marauders. He's going to get the help from the beautiful Thernody. I think is how you pronounce it. I never really had to pronounce it before. By John Ostrander and Luke Ross, who now I recognize John Ostrander as like a great Martian Manhunter writer. Excalibur 95. It had to happen sometime. The X-Man comes to Mara Aaron and meets Excalibur, but is he there as a friend or foe? By Warren Ellis and Carlos Pachelo. X-Men turning 50. Why have Wolverine and Cyclops, Storm, and Iceman been transported to a strange landscape? For what mysterious purpose? Was it really Onslaught who brought them there? Find out the answer to these questions as many new ones are raised in this double-sized Extranza celebrating X-Men's 50th issue by Scott Lobdell and Andy Kubert. Scott Lobdell, who has an infamously poorly received line on Excalibur, years later has gotten a little bit better. He's not as problematic as he will be soon. Storm has a miniseries 2 of 4. And there's a Professor X and the X-Men series that's at issue 5. And the back cover ad is for USA's Saturday night lineup of the Weird Science and Campus Cops, which I remember Weird Science being a fun show, but Campus Cops escapes me. I wonder if that's before or after Duckman. And back cover is the Hellraiser Bloodline, coming soon from Dimension Films. This year, the past, the present, the future will all meet at the crossroads of hell. I've never seen any Hellraiser movies, but my sister's a fan of them, if I remember correctly. And so that was Excalibur issue 95. Thank you so much for listening to the comic as I described it to you. Might need to figure out if I'm just going to read comics or am I going to try to get some in-depth commentary or not, but I feel like I gave some opinions as we came, but I appreciate you sticking with me as I try to figure out the format of this show. So my plan is to next review some Black Panther comics of ours, or of my collection, as we hopefully see Black Panther this upcoming weekend. But if not, at least we have a good excuse to revisit some. I think I have like 5 or 6 issues of Black Panther. I guess we'll figure it out together. And then I still want to get to Uncanny X-Men 129 and do the first appearance of Kitty Pryde. But, I'm trying to stay timely for what things going on. Carlos Pachelo was a great artist. He was amazing on Avengers Forever, which I think might be the first time I really recognized, like, oh, he's an amazing artist. And then being reminded, like, oh no, he had an amazing run on Excalibur. And Excalibur's this here, issue 95, so they're 30 issues away from ending the title, and how fun that was. because we sort of lose Excalibur somewhere around at one point, like Claremont leaves and it sort of flounders as it finds a new voice and new cast, but like towards like the last 10 issues or so, like it really ends well. I want to say Warren Ellis maybe ends the book. I want to say so, right? We'll figure it out at one point. So if you would like to follow me on Twitter and on not Facebook, but Twitter, well, you can. It'd be just John Klein III, finds the one in Montana. But on Twitter and on YouTube, I'm Jackal SIII. So it's Jackal's II. And I also made a Twitter account for the blog, which is SNFWM. Because you can't do the and symbol. So now it just looks like San FWM. But I don't know, if I can learn how to pronounce that in a fun way, that'd be fun. But yeah, Shadow and Flame with Magic. So SNFWM. Great name for a website, great name for a blog. So you ever want to go to shadowandflame.com. Shadowandflamewithmagic.com. I might have to write down the closing line so I can just say it nicely. But as I fumble it, and you come off very folksy, hopefully. Thank you so much for listening. And if you will give 5 stars and a friendly review, I would appreciate it. All right, everyone. Until next time. Bye.